In 2007, the NGO Handicap International organized 4 participatory learning action sessions with groups of women and men with disabilities, including deaf women in the Cambodian provinces of Battambang and Kampong Cham. The sessions aim to identify groups of persons with disabilities at risk of HIV transmission and for being subjected to sexual violence. Results showed that 40% of the women who were deaf had experienced sexual violence, including rape or a rape attempt in their villages. The HIV and Disability Project started in September 2008 in 13 districts of Battambang and Kampong Cham. It was developed to provide access to information about services for medical, psychosocial, and justice support for a target of 520 persons with disabilities with a focus on women who are deaf.
Muốn mình chơi chặt ở đây bạn gọi cùng râu nó cứ bọc lợi hiếm miền cà và rò mùi chúng luôn rồi chia ta phơi đường tết làm về rục rục sợi dây làm người tam sạc cùng lợi bạn đối rồi về như bạn câu nó không cùng râu hay gì hai bên thì những rục bạn của con đấy phơi đường mình tết làm về cầm rô sa của con nữa châu rùm mùi của dê ảnh nhà lại cô con để chia sợi dây làm nước mà châu rùm không scam cái bọc của dê chẳng những bạn bồn miền nó không đai hết bọc lợi chọc để chụp này không chụp là nhiều sờ la còn đôi thì chụp thì mùi hàng đồ sọc phê.
Key activities also included developing relationships with the women and their families. Persons with disabilities are often overprotected by families or neglected. Generally, their sexuality is not recognized, so it was challenging for the team to explain to families the relevance of the project to their lives, as well as to reassure them that their family member would be safe participating in the project. The project team also spent time with the women and their families to learn about their lives, the challenges they face, and the things that were meaningful to them. The Handicap International team learned that there was not sign language vocabulary for many concepts and terms related to reproductive health, sexual violence, or HIV, AIDS, and sexually transmitted infection, illustrating that these are issues that had not been developed to the extent or given enough significance to warrant development of language. Handicap International collaborated with the Deaf Development Program under the Mary Knoll program to develop sign language vocabulary to respond to this. This work was extensive and a key issue for ensuring that the messages we gave were accurate and comprehensive, and that the women could discuss issues related to reproductive health, sexual violence, HIV, and AIDS.
Many people who are deaf have never even met each other within their own community. This means their general knowledge is poorly developed. When compared to people who can hear, people who are deaf use eye and sign language to communicate with each other. Even within their own family or household, they often cannot communicate with their parents, as they simply don't know how to. In Cambodia, there are no special services for people who are deaf. This challenges them in their studies, and finally can cause them to drop out of school.
Before, I felt lonely knowing no sign language. But after receiving training from the 4 trainers, I feel happy and know a lot. I feel now very glad to learn from them with many activities. I'm happy and they're all my friends. People who hear don't really like to hang out with me. That is, most of my friends are people who are deaf. When I come to learn, I meet them. I feel very happy.
The women all used different home sign language that they had developed for basic communication within their families, which was often only understood within the family. Communicating in the same language was vital for the project capacity building activities, as well as opening the door into the deaf community and activities supported by sign language interpretation, such as television broadcasts. The project team learned sign language to be better able to monitor the quality, appropriateness, and correctness of the information flow.
This sign means protection for birth spacing. This sign means raping. Okay, understood? Now continue to another one. This sign means health centre. Do like a roof with a cross on our left shoulder. And this sign means hospital. Different from health centre as you open your hand wider. Clear? Remember?
ពេលយើងចាប់ដើមអនុវត្តសកម្មភាពនេះមានការប្រឈមមានកត្តាប្រឈមចំនួននៃការលំបាកមួយចំនួនដែរដែលយើងបានជួបប្រទះដូចជាយើងខ្វះនៅរូបភាពមួយចំនួនក្នុងការបញ្យល់ទៅដល់ស្ត្រីខ្លំដើម្បីធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យគាត់ងាយយល់នៅខ្លឹមសារមេរៀនរបស់យើងហើយម្យ៉ាងទៀតមេរៀនរបស់យើងវាវែងពេកដល់ពេលយើងបញ្យល់ទៅពួកគាត់ទៅគាត់មានការលំបាកហើយម្យ៉ាងទៀតបុគ្គលិកយើងនៅពេលនេះគឺមិនតន់ចេះភាសាសញ្ញានៅឡើយទេបានគឺយើងធ្វើតាមរយៈការបកប្រែដែលយើងមានការកិច្ចសហការជាមួយនឹងខាងកម្មវិធីអភិវឌ្ឍមួយខ្លង
ដល់ពេលរួមភេទមួយគ្នាទៅអាចឆ្លងអេដនឹងវាមិនអាចឆ្លងវាឆ្លងទៅហ្មងវាឆ្លងតាមរយៈការរួមភេទនឹងណាហើយមួយទៀតឆ្លងពីម្ដាយទៅកូនម្ដាយនឹងមានផ្ទុកទៅដោយមេរោគអេដហើយគាត់មានពោះធំណាដល់អញ្ចឹងគាត់ឆ្លងទៅកូននឹងហើយមួយទៀតអានេះរូបភាពការបំបៅដោះកូនការបំបៅដោះកូនក៏ឆ្លងអេដដែរដោយសារម្ដាយនឹងមានផ្ទុកទៅដោយមេរោគអេដខ្លួនខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់ហ្នឹងក៏ខ្ញុំអត់មានចេះជាសញ្ញាឲ្យដែរដល់ពេលអញ្ចឹងយើងទៅដល់ភូមិយើងអត់មានបានដឹងថាយើងបង្រៀនមេរៀនហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែទៅដល់យើងបង្រៀនចាប់ផ្ដើមបង្រៀនអ្នកបកហើយដល់ពេលអ្នកបកប្រែហ្នឹងគាត់ទៅបង្រៀនគ្រូថ្លង់បង្រៀនទៅសិស្សដល់ពេលអញ្ចឹងអាការចាប់យល់របស់អ្នកបកហ្នឹងបានបន្តិចគ្រូថ្លង់ហ្នឹងបានបន្តិចដល់មកដល់សិស្សបានបន្តិចដល់អញ្ចឹងអាការងារហ្នឹងវាបានទទួលផលតែបន្តិចទេហើយសិស្សហ្នឹងវាមានការអៀនខ្មាស់
Well, I noticed that it was really difficult to train the women who are deaf, as they have not been to school and do not know how to study. They never learnt Cambodian Sign Language before. They had a hard time understanding us. So we needed to prepare together with Handicap International. As the women were shy and had never had a chance to go out, they had so much fear. As a trainer, I had to encourage, train and motivate them one time after another. As a trainer, I needed to make my signs clear. The students had a very hard time understanding and using the signs, and it caused them some real headaches. They did not know which one to choose from. I had to copy the signs from the interpreter, so the way we trained was not from my own knowledge and ideas. I found it very challenging. We tried again and again. It was still difficult, so we found a new solution.
As a solution to the training challenges, the deaf trainers were trained in the topics they were delivering so that information could travel firsthand from them to the women. After the sign language training, interpretation was not needed anymore. The trainers passed the knowledge directly to the women. The curriculum was modified and delivered in a sequential manner with layers of information building upon one another to make it more logical. The training methodology needed to be very practical, and as with the information, education and communication material have no scope for ambiguity. Even questions and answer sessions were too complex. As such, information was repeated and repeated using sign language and pictorial representation.
How are you all doing? This picture and that picture are the same. HIV can be transmitted to women. Here's a picture of a man. They can also be infected with HIV. She is living with HIV, but she does physical exercise every morning. She takes very good care of her health. Likewise, this is the picture of a man living with HIV. He does physical exercise and plays football and other types of exercise. The picture here shows a woman living with HIV. She looks thin. Day after day, her body is getting weaker and weaker. This picture describes a man having sex with a partner without using a condom. The other one illustrates transmission through blood transfusion. In this picture, she is unwell, but does not have HIV. She is infected by HIV when she receives an infected blood transfusion. So HIV is transmitted through having sex without using a condom with a partner who is living with HIV, from a mother living with HIV to her offspring if she does not use the services of Prevention from Mother-to-Child Transmission, PMTCT, and through HIV-infected blood transfusion. Well, I noticed that students who are deaf have now made lots of progress because we developed creative pictures, practical methods and materials, and demonstrations. When we do the demonstrations, all the students who are deaf can absorb most of the messages. They have received the information we wanted to share with them, and they have made a lot of progress.
The women acted out the training messages. This role play was a successful strategy to engage them as well as make sure that they understood the information.
So are you with me? Now I have a game. I need someone to come to the front. Okay, young lady over here. So you remember the lessons and we'll play a game. Please turn around so they can see it. Is it through having sex? No, that is not the answer. So, is it from a pregnant mother to her offspring? No. Through blood transfusion, right? Yes, correct. Okay, so you did great. The picture we stuck on your back means transmission through HIV-infected blood transfusion. Okay, thanks. Please go back to your place.
Cả đầm bông để bàn mở riêng sâu ní cùng trong các bàn mở riêng như thả với chi cài với cà và cài cả hay bờ to mà tiết bó có bàn ông cài dưỡng bàn bằng riêng pi ở chủng ngữ AIDS và nông cài riêng sâu ní có khơi cha chấm này chạy đằng vào vía có miền cà còn bờ maintain và sống ở cùng
tăng pi chào nâng ban châu sắc xa nâng vẹn hàng xa nhà cầu thằng nâng cư miền cá chấm này chạy đằng dôl cha chiêng dương toàn ban sắc xa na.
The project beneficiaries are taken to the local health center for an information visit.
Thở nom qua một đôi sọc hiệp đôi xa thì muối nhưng cho cắt đăng thì gần lại thì phí đăng thắt xe va nông đôi sọc hiệp nâng đi miền ấy khla nâng hay tới để thang miền thì gì cả na miền đất tây cua miền đất mơ miền rồng ấy hay tới miền ca chặt nào một ca hay nâng miền để thay dương về đại dương miền rục hiệp dương về miền phần tay đón lên lại ní việc bật vì sẽ bà hai đầm bay ở khu ba phát nâng tròn chằm.
Handicap International has managed to keep these nascent groups of women together so that they can meet one another, discuss their issues, and seek social support and a sense of community between one another through ongoing learning and knowledge groups. Alongside this, they have the scope to act as a support network at situations of sexual violence, assisting one another through the challenges of seeking medical, judicial, and psychosocial support.
In fact, misconceptions from people who are hearing about people who are deaf is that they are ignorant. The perception of people who are hearing about people who are deaf is that they cannot do anything. They are not even credited with having their own language. These misconceptions make people who are deaf feel challenged. In terms of their education, persons who are deaf always miss receiving some information. For employment, they have a hard time looking for a job. They do not have good access to various services.
I have learnt about topics including HIV, AIDS, sexual and reproductive health and other issues. I understand about the methods of transmission of HIV, for example, how a mother living with HIV can pass the virus to her child, having unprotected sexual intercourse with a partner who is living with HIV, and through receiving an HIV-infected blood transfusion.
Chỉ ảnh ra để nhằm chọn cái đó chùn từ cả ảnh vật trong rồng ở sân môn 14 ở miền Cà Châu Rung thì bộc này trong quốc gia bảo cọ trong sự cam hiệp rồi bọc của trường chỉ một công cọt phòng với bên cọt lọt từ xã công với nhé cọt miền Cà ảnh vật cọt vật to thì dễ khi bị xa sinh nhai tới chân cọt át chạm bàn tràn mà hai mươi gian tiếp dân cô tại bằng cát biệt còn lư mùi dùng đốn kẹt tông mình bị thiên là bọt nhiều nhé ở bàn môn dần được bày về là dân mông riêng có tới có nghiên cứu biệt còn lư nữa có nghiên chạm bàn nhận mông riêng nó có chạy xa sinh nhai thành đó mông riêng đó sẽ trade long để rạch thành đó cứ nghi su bỏ cọt nghi su đó sẽ trade long cọt dừa hai mươi gian tiếp rung khiếp để dân pra tác thêm ở sân manh ở nghiên cứu ở chức bản để một sân trong để bị rung hết ở khơi chuyện lệ thà rung hết từ từ cọt dừa thành nó hai mươi gian tiếp chất tôm bị khâm xa mê nó đôi khi này cùng vài bên clay đó nghe su cọt chạm bàn